What is the purpose of the emotional health system? It seems to have kind of two major functions. One would be to give value or to book or mark or select pieces of experience, giving it a kind of uniqueness to it. And secondly, the conversion of experience itself into health or into growth for the individual. Now, that being said, how does this kind of play out? We'd think of this kind of like a snapshot, a picture of, let's say, a person in the woods. You might not be aware at the time that there's somebody behind you making a face or that there's some animal in the tree or bush. But when you look back at that picture, you will see that, oh, yes, there was somebody behind me and there was this tree here and it was that time of day. And I do remember from this picture also that earlier that day we did this, that, and the other thing. And this is kind of how I think the emotional system does things. So it takes a snapshot of all the sense information from that period, day, outing, or kind of small experience. Depending on how powerful it is, it might give more emotional charge to that event. So a beautiful day, well spent, you might only remember the significant part of that day, and that might be dinner with a good friend. However, all the pieces that led up to that day are still a part of the day itself that made that experience so powerful. So the emotional system would take all that into consideration. And therefore, when we are in a situation where there's parts of these, it might make that experience even more powerful. Or it might say, well, there is a lack of these things, and these things were kind of supporting the growth of the individual with being more social. So we want to make this more of an important, notable experience, therefore putting emotional attachments to this thing. So I think this is how it works in the sense of giving us always a guide towards the steering the ship, if you will, towards the healthy aspects of life and the things that allow us to grow. We can say that because also the emotions work with symbolism, that we can misinterpret this thing. So we can be attracted to somebody who is not particularly great for our health, but might have a lot of the elements that we're missing in ourselves that we want to try to experience. Somebody might have really great confidence, but actually be really full of themselves, and we might want that self confidence. At further inspection, we realize the true motivating factor behind that, and we then start to distance ourselves, but not without the experience of what it's like to see somebody in the light of confidence. So we take away the confidence aspects and see its ups and downs, and therefore fill in more information if we are, let's say, appropriately using that emotional health system to its best potential. So I think that is how we'd use that to navigate the experiences of life. Knowing that, this also has the impact on or information from the thought process that's happening, as well as the physical movement and interaction of the body with the physical world kind of thing. All right. I think that's a very solid point to note on the system.